I want us to hold that thought because we will come back to it and shift completely to something that seems unrelated. A lot of us that have been here for a while, and for the younger ones, you probably hear your parents complaining of this. And I'll probably see a lot of nodding heads. My father says, even I see it. A few years ago, 10, 20, 15 years ago, when you went to the grocery store and you spent $100, the entire cart was full. Nowadays you go, you get a couple of things, you probably don't even need the cart, and you go to the register and it's $100. A few years ago, it seemed like your money went a lot further than it does now. Now part of that is inflation. Part of that, of course, is inflation, but if you think about it, if I think about it, that doesn't feel like the complete explanation. There's something else there. Why is our money not going as far as it used to, even in our own lifetimes? And then at the other extreme, we hear of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In his time, there would be one pot of food, and the entire community is eating from it. One bowl of milk, and the entire community is eating from it. One little pouch of gold, an entire garden is bought with it. Slaves are freed with it. It went such a long way. And now we're here at the opposite extreme. You may have a huge salary, but you're still worried about money. You may have a huge house, a huge car, great career, but something just feels like it's not enough. And this is where the concept of barakah comes in. Because in our deen, in our tradition, we learn that a dollar isn't just a dollar. $1 in my pocket is not the same as a dollar in somebody else's pocket. There's blessing, there's barakah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can make that $1 go very far, or He can make that $1 not go very far at all. And this is something we see even in our own lifetimes. And I'm going to ask another question to ourselves. And forgive me if I offend anybody. I'm talking to myself first, because this is a very touchy topic. I want us to think about a time in our lives when we were not involved in any interest. Or maybe, alhamdulillah, for some of us, we're in that time now. And by interest, I mean bank accounts, saving accounts, mortgage, whatever you name it, student loans, which we'll talk about. Now think about a time when you are involved in it. And again, I'm talking to myself first. Do you notice the difference in the barakah of your money then? Did that dollar, when you were a student and not involved in any of this, did that dollar seem to go a lot further than now when you're making six figures, but you're tied up in an interest-bearing loan, you're tied up in an interest-bearing mortgage? Does that barakah feel like it's gone? I'm asking myself before everyone. And if we think about that, if we honestly think about that, I think many of us will say yes. That even though I have the bigger position now, I'm making more money now, that barakah doesn't feel like it's there. I used to make less money before, but I'm more worried about money now because something is missing. And that one thing that's missing is the barakah. And that begs the question, why is the barakah disappearing from our wealth, from our rizq? Why is it not going as far as we were used to it going before? And the answers to this are many. And we know there's books and books written about this. Sins take away your barakah. Missing salah, things as simple as that take away your barakah. But the one I want to focus on, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا آتَيْتُم مِّن زَكَاةٍ تُرِيدُونَ وَجْهَ اللَّهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُضْعِفُونَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. That whatever you give in charity, He says in Surah Al-Rum, whatever you give in charity, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will multiply it many times over. That's barakah. As we hear every Ramadan, you give $1, it becomes 70, it becomes 70,000. That's barakah. But then on the flip side, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, whatever you give, whatever you're involved with in interest, and you're seeking that multiplication, you're seeking for it to get bigger, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it completely dry. يَمْحَقُ اللَّهُ الرِّبَى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says He makes it completely dry, barren, like a ground that nothing can grow up from. يَمْحَقُ اللَّهُ الرِّبَى وَيُرْبِي الصَّدَقَاتِ. But sadaqah grows. Pure money grows. Money that's not involved in the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided for us, that money grows. But riba, يَمْحَقُ اللَّهُ الرِّبَى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it completely dry. And perhaps the ayah that we all are familiar with, but we probably maybe try to avoid because it makes us so uncomfortable. Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu attaqullah. Oh, you who believe, have taqwa of Allah. Fear Allah. وَذَرُوا مَا بَقِيَ مِنَ الرِّبَا. And leave whatever you're involved in interest. Leave whatever you're involved in riba. And of course, there's levels to this. If you're somebody that's directly benefiting from this parasitic system, if you're giving somebody money and taking back many times more, that's the top of the line. But even being involved in it, supporting the system in any way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, for a Muslim, for someone that cares about their community, for their society, for their country, it is not acceptable to be even involved in this kind of system. يَمْحَقُ اللَّهُ رِبَا وَيُرْبِي الصَّدَقَاتِ. So then now it begs the question that we started off talking about. So we have this kid, he comes to this country, his parents come to this country, and he knows the way up is education. He knows the way up is to go to school, get good grades, and we all know this. Our masajid are funded first by the barakah of Allah, the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses people that have those paychecks, have those jobs to fund these institutions. When we see something even as our expansion, the person that fought for it, a Muslim lawyer that did it for free, that these are the people. Education is the way we make ourselves a voice. We give ourselves a chance here, and things are only getting harder. So this kid, he's thinking, this is what I want to do. He gets the grades. He gets everything he's supposed to do. And he gets the acceptance to the law school, to the medical school, to whatever school that he wanted to do. And his intention is pure. He wants to use it to help the community. And then the bill comes, the tuition brochure comes, $50,000 a semester. My father is an immigrant. My father drives a cab. My father is just barely making ends meet. How am I going to ask him for $50,000 a semester? This situation is not hypothetical. This situation happens to us. It happened to me. It happens to people sitting here right now. You probably know somebody this happens to. And then what are the choices that are available? Either I give up. I don't pursue my dream. And the community just lost an enormous amount of potential. Or I take the loan. I look the other way. And I quietly tell myself that as soon as I can, I'll pay it back. And that is what most of us decide to do. That is the route, even if we don't say it out loud, that most people take. But then what happens? That person graduates, becomes the lawyer, becomes the engineer, becomes the architect, becomes the politician, and he's excited to help the masjid, help the community, but that first loan payment comes. And he realizes, I can't really donate to the masjid, because half of my salary has to go to this, or else this is going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The barakah is completely gone. Marriage becomes delayed. Families become delayed. I can't afford to have kids right now because this is such a burden on me. These are all real issues that I'm not making up to you. Kids in our community, kids that are sitting next to you, come to me and tell me this stuff. What do I do? And for all these years, I had no solution for them, and I had no solution for myself. To bring this barakah back into our communities, we are starting what we're starting today. It's a very simple program. You donate to the masjid, and we'll have flyers outside. The easiest way is the QR code, and we've been having it for a couple of weeks now. Whatever money you give goes into a fund for the masjid, and this fund will not be used for anybody else, no other community, no other purpose, nothing, just for this. Once the students apply, and we'll talk more about it outside, they apply through the website, we choose the students that we were going to give the loan to. Inshallah, in the future, if we get big enough, we're not going to need to choose because we can give it to everybody. Down the line, the student graduates, pays us back exactly dollar for dollar what they took from us. This is not a handout. They learn responsibility. They pay back their loan. Not a cent of riba involved. The barakah doesn't go away. The barakah stays in the masjid. Our resources stay in our community. Since this program started, nationally, almost $7 million of interest payments have been avoided by Muslims like me and you in this country. That's $7 million that stayed in the community. $7 million that didn't go into and feed this predatory system. $7 million. And I can go on and on about the stats, but I won't because that's not the purpose. But this is a huge need. And we'll end with this, that the ones that can help the most with this are the ones that are affected by it the least. I'll share my own personal story. The reason I'm so passionate about this is because this is something that affected me personally for many years. And as we were setting all these things up, these things take time. Alhamdulillah, I was able to come out of that situation. But then what happens? And many of us are probably in those shoes. Then shaitan comes to me and says, hey, is this really that big of a problem? Do you really need to be taking a Friday off and giving khutbah and doing this? Does anybody even need this? Because shaitan tells you when a problem doesn't affect you directly, he tells you that the problem doesn't exist at all. And that's how community breaks. Community isn't addressing the problems that only affect you. It's about addressing the problems that don't affect you. The kid that's 50,000, 100,000 in debt today, he's not gonna go outside and scan the QR code and give $10,000. He's not gonna do that. But one of us has to. Somebody else has to pick up that. If we don't do that for one another as a community, then what value is that in that word at all? What does that word even mean for us? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that if you are able to take away a burden on someone, and there's other hadith where he specifically speaks about debt, but in general, any burden you lift off of someone, that will come back to you. That's not in vain. And to think of the psychological effect that will have. Let's go back to that kid that was at that crossroads. And now that this kid, alhamdulillah, comes to HIC, he puts forward that application, he gets his education financed, he pays it back, now he gets married, has kids, alhamdulillah. But what is he thinking? He's thinking that my masjid didn't just tell me, they didn't just teach me that riba was haram. My masjid didn't just teach me that interest was haram. My masjid taught me that, but also gave me another way. My masjid was there for me when every other door was closed. My masjid was there for me and gave me this loan when everyone else told me that in this economic system, there's no such thing. It's not possible to have an interest-free loan. My masjid was there for me. And what do you think that individual, that's not a kid anymore, what do you think he will turn into? What do you think he will do for the masjid? And when we have a community of these young people that go through this system, feeling like they're supported by their community, because they are, feeling like we are here for them because we are, when their turn comes to run these institutions, what do you think will be the quality of the institutions that they produce? We could have done this fundraiser the way we usually do it, where we call out numbers and people raise their hands. I purposely chose not to do it that way. Number one, I'm not very good at that, but more so because I don't think there's a need for that. I think every single one of us here realizes the value that this has to offer. I think every single one of us here realizes what a need that this is for the community. Going back to where we started, for that person that's made it, that you're here, you live in New Hyde Park, you have a house, you live in the surrounding areas, these are communities that are sought after. You have everything. Remember that your responsibility did not end there. We just celebrated the legacy of Ibrahim alayhi salam, who saw his responsibility as continuing for thousands and thousands of years after him. He makes dua for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to come because he saw that as his responsibility. Your responsibility doesn't end when your economic journey ends. Your responsibility just shifts. Now you have a responsibility that these things weren't there for us when we were in school. What are we doing to make one? These alternatives weren't there. What are we doing to make one? And the opportunity presented itself today for me, for you. So please, everybody, do your best. As much as you can, please support. The easiest way, again, is the QR code. You just simply scan it, and that will get it going. Charity has so many different forms. We fundraise constantly. Overseas, we do a lot. That's great. We fundraise for the masjid, obviously. That's great. This is something that is grassroots, it's local. Your money, you will see where it's going. Your money that you give, the kid that's coming in Maghrib and praying next to you, that's where that's going to. The kid that is going up through school, that's where that's going to. You can see the direct impact of it. One of the ways to increase barakah in your money that we spoke about is to diversify your charity. So please do consider making this a part of your charity. Please forgive me if I've offended anyone. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, anything good that was said, may He accept from us. May He forgive us of any shortcomings. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to rise up to these challenges and take care of our community. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.